sort of speaking a little bit hush is because of these. Fucking hell. I'm not gonna hurt you, buddy. This garage is filled with these doves. They just seem to live here. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm inside. Oh, hi. I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. Since you somehow stumbled upon this video and channel, I suppose I owe you an introduction, because it's the first video, so... yeah, that's me on the screen. I hope you don't really get to see me much, though, because my hopes are this channel is going to be more about the photographs themselves than me or photography in general. Like, I'll just take my amateurish photography things and we'll look at them together, and we'll discover what's actually interesting in photography, which is the photographs themselves. So, without talking too much about that, let's just continue the video with that. Alright, so now I'm inside an empty garage, pretty much, apart from like a single car. I thought I would do one of these classic empty garage shots. I've had to change to this Royal, the Dacora Royal camera, because it's so freaking dark in here that the exposure time will be about a second or so with ISO 100. So we'll see how that goes. I think I will bracket it to like maybe 16 aperture and about 1 to 2 seconds of exposure, and then maybe 11 to a half second exposure, something like that. Alright, so here we have the final picture, just plainly scanned and pasted in. We haven't done anything with it at all whatsoever. The settings for the photo is an aperture of 8, an exposure time of 1 second or so. I just counted manually, so could be off by a bit. And the focus was, well, probably set somewhere between 10 or 15 meters. I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really matter on that aperture. Let's just reframe it a bit, and let's just put a white background on it as well while we're at it. Yeah, a lot better there. So, when taking a picture like this, obviously there's a lot to keep in mind. What I was probably thinking about was creating an image that had a lot of depth, a lot of symmetry. You can see there's a lot of elements that are repeated and symmetrical throughout the picture, but then you have some water pools and things like that as well, which creates a nice, interesting picture. Really, to be honest, this picture doesn't really fit the 1x1 6x6 format square. What I mean is the square format thing. It's sort of a wide picture, and it's probably just fitting the normal 69 sort of standard image format would have been a lot better, to be honest. But, you know, you always need to experiment with these things, and the result will just come out afterwards, and that's what you will see, right? When I look at this picture, it has some interesting things going for it. Obviously, it's not really what I imagined when taking it though, right? Um, there's quite a lot of grain to start with, um, and the contrast is, well, it's just saying in reality you could see a lot more detail in the picture. Here there's quite a lot of loss of detail in the shadows. If you look at the roof, you can sort of see the roof structure, but in the dark areas you can't really make out a lot of the fine details. I guess that's just one of those things. It was quite a hard picture to take, really. It's you had very bright lights in the roof and very dark areas, shadows in the darkest parts of it. When lining up this shot, it's not very easy to get it perfectly centered either from the start, so you would have to do some edits, which I've not really done. Like the point of this sort of a look on it is just taking the raw image and just see what it brings us. It's a little bit off kilter as well. I think it needs to be rotated a bit. Other than that, I think it's a pretty cool picture, to be honest. The balance is a bit off, I think, if you view the horizon, which is the 6 windows at the back. They're slightly too low, right? They need to be brought up a bit to the middle line of the picture to really make it symmetrical, because this image is, to me, all about symmetry, right? You have these lines pointing inward and everything, and like repeated windows and parking lot lines and the horizontal lines in the roof and everything. Yeah, this image is definitely all about symmetry, and it's fairly grainy as well. If you zoom in a bit, these are not like pixely, these are more of that like the analog grain on the film, but it's notorious for it. Like the Fomapan films are very grainy and they're spotty, and they have these sorts of really distinctive grain structures, which a lot of people like. Like, they can be nice for portraits and they can be nice for sort of moody pictures, but to be quite honest, a shot like this, which is a very clean shot, it looks a bit odd with such grain. You know, it's not wrong. You know, saying that something is dead wrong is, you can't really do that about photography. But it definitely looks a bit odd. It does. Other than that, some small things with the camera as well. In the corners, you can see that there's some what is it called? The edge vignetting. Some vignette in the corners, and this is a flaw of the camera, which I noticed. So you have to kind of crop it in if you don't want to see that. And as I said, it's a little bit. Well, there's a little bit of editing to do, but I think it's an interesting photo nonetheless.